Hey, welcome back to Among the Noise. We've got two new guests this time. Last time we had two new guests, and now we've got another two new guests. This is Jacob and Spencer. So Jacob is a good friend of mine, and Spencer is my brother, my other brother, obviously. So, we are going to eventually talk about Obi-Wan, Episode 3, and then later on after that we will get into just a couple of news topics. But first of all, we're going to start off with who's your favorite Star Wars villain? And we'll start with Jacob.
Well, I'd say my favorite bad guy, I'm not sure about, I'd say Count Dooku, just because he had his reasons for being a bad guy. He wasn't just emotional. He was like against the Jedi Order's ways, kind of a lot how Qui-Gon Jinn was, but Qui-Gon Jinn chose to follow the Order, and Count Dooku was more like, no, things need to change, and just eventually became a bad guy. Yeah. Pure bad guy, it'd have to be Darth Sidious, because that's just, he's pure evil.
Right.
But, yeah. I'd say that's mine.
Yeah, Dooku's a good answer, just because you're right, he actually had a motivation and a reason for why he was the way he was.
Right.
Whereas, well, I mean, you could say Darth Vader did as well, but
yeah, but it was more he could have stopped himself. It was more emotions, he wasn't thinking, and Dooku was more like calculated and precise, and obviously it didn't work out for him, but yeah.
That is a fair point.
Spencer, what's yours?
I'm gonna have to go with Thrawn for my first one.
Wow.
Interesting.
I think
Canon Thrawn,
yes. He's interesting, and he has a lot of strategy into pretty much everything he has to do.
Yeah.
True.
So
he is a very good villain.
But second to that, I would probably go with Vader, just because he's one of my favorite characters. So
yeah. I have kind of two answers as well. My go-to is always Darth Revan. Knights of the Republic is my favorite game, and Revan, specifically in that game, I mean, spoiler alert, if you haven't played that game, turn this off.
For like 20 years.
Yeah. You're behind, you need to get on it. But he you basically are him in the game, and he's just a very fascinating character in that game. They kind of ruined him after that, in my opinion.
Yeah. The second game definitely ruined Revan.
And everything after that, basically. But yeah, the first game, he's so intriguing. My second answer is Darth Vader, just because he's the most iconic, and as we saw in this episode, absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. He was a monster.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I guess after that, we'll just get right into it. What were your overall thoughts on this episode? Episode 3 of Obi-Wan.
I definitely... I mean, there's always lackluster right now for Obi-Wan, just because he's not throwing his lightsaber around and being the General Kenobi that we know. But it's nice to see that he's actually stepping up and not being... he's like always mourning, I guess, the loss of Anakin. And now that he knows he's truly back, it's like... I don't foresee him like whipping out his lightsaber anytime soon. He'll probably do it at the last episode, just as like a reel-in for people for a second season or something. But and I like what they're doing with Leia. I don't know if they should keep involving her, just because, I don't know, like, I feel like that just almost weakens her storyline in the originals. Just kind of makes her more unknowing, or like more of a whimsical adventurer rather than a calculated princess, like general. I like that they killed off the Grand Inquisitor. I don't know. He was lackluster too, but I like what they're doing with the third sister. Is that her name?
Mm-hmm. Reva.
Yeah, Reva. I like what they're doing with her, making her like almost a proper Sith apprentice, but as an Inquisitor, because they're not technically Sith. And how Darth Vader's treated them like his apprentices and like kill squad.
Yeah.
And what else? Yeah, I don't think got much else for it. I think.
Yeah. So the Grand Inquisitor, for all intents and purposes for the show, is probably dead, but he's not actually dead because he shows up in Star Wars Rebels.
That's true.
Later on in the timeline.
Right.
So that is interesting that they decided to make him appear like he was dead, but they didn't exactly, like when she was updating Vader on like what was happening, she never said that he died or that he was killed. She blamed it on Obi-Wan, probably just to make Vader more angry or whatever. But yeah, it's interesting that like he's dead, but he's not, and there's a chance we could still see him come back in this show, like in the end or something, or like the infighting between the Inquisitors is
it's interesting.
It's really interesting. It's probably the most interesting part about, other than Obi-Wan, just because that could potentially explode into something big, and imagine seeing them fight Vader. Like, Vader's gonna put them in their place eventually.
Absolutely, like they did in Jedi Fallen Order. I like how a lot of it almost relates back to it. I mean, every Star Wars show always has the big execute Order 66 scene, like in the first episode, and like it made you think like, oh, maybe Cal Kestis will jump out of here. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that.
Yeah, and I really think they might show him if they're really going to keep up with the Jedi Fallen Order stuff. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, with that scene with the what's it called? It was like a safe house where that Imperial took Obi-Wan. Here, I'll show it. Somewhere around here. He's like, he notices that like many Jedi have like come through this safe house.
Oh yeah,
like the Jedi underground system. Yeah, Quinlan Voss.
That was cool
interesting.
Yeah.
That was such a cool callback.
Yeah.
And even though like Obi-Wan and Quinlan didn't really get along, like in the Clone Wars episodes, they kind of butted heads a lot because Quinlan was kind of like an exaggerated version of Anakin, basically.
Yeah, he's more reckless.
Very reckless, but he always got the job done. But you could see Obi-Wan smile when he found out that at least at some point he came through that and was alive at some point.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really cool
Well, I think
touch.
she said that he is still helping.
I don't remember.
Really?
I think so.
That would be cool.
I think you might be right. Yeah.
So
that he helped a lot of others is what she said, I think.
Some people think that is going to play into the next Fallen Order game in some way.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be insane.
Considering he has like matching powers of Anakin, right? His force powers, like he can touch things and like feel them or something. Is that right? Or
he has some weird power like that. I don't really remember what it was, but
I remember
has
it's
something
Cal, Anakin, and I think Quinlan Voss all have the same force power where they can put their hand on an object and see all that the object's been through or something like that. Like, because when you go through the game, like you put your hand on a stormtrooper's helmet and like you hear screaming or something like that, or whatever's going on. I think Quinlan Voss has the same power. I think that's what I read earlier today.
Yeah, he's got something unique about him.
And he can see the future, I think. Right?
I don't remember.
Okay.
It's been too long since I've seen those episodes.
I mean, Anakin definitely can. So.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Well, not the good future.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to go back to the beginning a little bit, where Obi-Wan's still on the ship with Leia. He just to go back to where he's kind of like not he already did his like where he tried to talk to Qui-Gon again, and it didn't work, but he basically, at least they imply that they saw through the Force of like Anakin getting the armor like put on him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I don't know if we can see that, but
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting. And and then
What about Hayden Christensen's performance as Darth Vader?
Yeah.
That was incredible. He did a great job.
yeah, even though he's in a suit, like he got Vader's like mannerisms down.
Yeah.
And
Mannerisms down.
yeah, there were like some like shots where you could tell he knew Obi-Wan was there, and
Mhm.
he'd like do like a quick
Yeah, that was kind of
Yeah.
scary.
quick cut, like
You could even though he had a mask on, you could see like there's the twitch that he was like,
Yeah.
that's something familiar.
yeah,
Whatever, and then just
Yeah.
snap that kid's neck.
yeah,
That was wild.
crazy.
Yeah, that whole scene, it was in and of its own like dark hallway scene, like in the
Mhm.
originals, like just grabbing people, dragging them along the floor, and just like looking
That was
around,
so
like
funny.
what's Obi-Wan gonna do? I'm like
Yeah.
strangling these people. I'm just
Yeah.
like hello.
Yeah, I was kind of
Wild.
surprised that he didn't say something for like how long it took Obi-Wan to actually do something,
Yeah.
because he took a long time to like do something, and his thing that he did was just run away, but it worked. But I was
Yeah.
surprised Vader didn't be like, did you really just take this long to like try to save these people? Like, what is wrong with you?
I think he's so nose deep in what Yoda asked him to do with the twins, that he's just, not even a Jedi anymore, hardly. He's just strictly
Right.
keeping the kids a secret and keeping them safe.
Yeah, and he spent 10 years not using the Force like at all.
Yeah.
So that's why he seems so weak and everything. But I'm just kind of surprised that Vader didn't like call him out for like not doing something
Yeah.
like immediately as he started killing people.
Like mocking him, you mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm surprised he didn't do that, but
That would be cool.
everything after that was perfect in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
The way that he kind of talked to Obi-Wan.
I almost think they're trying to keep Vader's dialogue to an absolute minimum.
Yeah, which is safe and smart.
Yeah, just because if he says something, like, he'll be like, oh, it's Hayden Christensen being annoying little Anakin again. But, yeah, I like the way that, he's a sinister dude. He's calculated, he's emotional, but he knows what he's doing.
Right.
He is Lord Vader
Yeah.
at his prime.
Yeah. So we finally got to see Obi-Wan ignite his lightsaber, but it was
Yeah.
like he was still
Not what you want it to be.
Yeah, he was terrified.
Yeah.
Because he spent the last 10 years thinking Anakin was dead,
Mhm.
and then he learns that he's alive, and then he sees what he's become, and he's like just trying to run away, and it's
Yeah.
like
It's almost like a traumatic response is what he's doing.
Yeah.
Everything I've been thinking about for years and years has been a lie, and now he's alive and my worst fears have come true, and he's almost like coming to that realization in this exact frame. He's just like, oh man, what is going on? He even says it. He's like, what have you become?
yeah.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
think my favorite thing based on this topic was when he first saw the Inquisitors coming down that corridor.
Mm-hmm.
It almost seemed like he got cold and was not in the right headspace.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't been in the right headspace this whole time. But
Yeah. I think he's strictly trying to lower himself because he doesn't... I don't think he cares more about himself. He, like I said earlier, he's just trying to keep the kids safe and keep them secret, because I feel like Lord Vader would figure it out, like, why are you here? Oh, you're doing something sneaky.
Yeah.
And, like, try to figure out and just probably just blow up the planet, because it would just hurt Obi-Wan the most.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, it's crazy. Like, Obi-Wan it was living with his failure for so long, and he just thought that Anakin was dead, and then he, now that he knows that he's alive, it's like a living embodiment of his failure.
Yeah, that's
trying
terrifying.
to destroy him, literally destroy him, and it's so crazy.
Yeah, the way he portrays fear and, like, loss and just almost post-traumatic stress, just you can see it on his face. Like I know he's aged, what is it, like 20 years since Revenge of the... Is that right? Maybe 10 years?
It's been 10 years since Revenge of the Sith, yeah.
I mean, you can see it on his face that he's aged, and I mean, like, I don't know who the makeup artist is, but you can definitely tell he's just, like, sunken, like, completely, because he's just distraught all the time. Like, when he's in the first few episodes, or the first couple episodes, where he's, like, working at that meat plant or whatever, like, you think, like, oh yeah, Obi-Wan's gonna do something, but no, he's just slicing off meat for himself, and, like, trying to survive, and he's literally not the same Obi-Wan. And yeah, it's depressing that we're not like, oh yeah, it's General Kenobi, where's the sass, where's the one-liners, but you can really tell, like, wow, he has gone through traumatic stuff, and it makes Revenge of the Sith all that much more great. Like, the last lava scene of being like, wow, this is really, really emotional and really good.
Yeah. It always was, but that recap before the first episode, where they kind of pick and chose, like, which scenes they thought were most important to kind of catch you up. The Revenge of the Sith scenes were just so emotional, just from that recap.
It was tough.
And the music in the background just, like, really hits you.
Yeah.
And then it opens up with the first episode, and that was crazy.
If you're emotional, like, to Star Wars like us, it would make any grown man tear up. It almost made me tear up, but I was like, no, my little sister is sitting next to me, I can't cry right now.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that grew up with, like, the originals, I feel like they would, even if they didn't like the prequels or whatever, seeing Anakin turn into Darth Vader and that whole end scene is still very emotional, even if you aren't as invested as people who are diehard fans of the prequels or the Clone Wars or whatever. It's still a lot.
Yeah, it makes you, like, understand the heartbreak, not just for Anakin, seeing him get plucked up by Qui-Gon and them revering him as this chosen one, and then him, I guess he did bring balance to the Force, but not in the way that they wanted, and seeing Obi-Wan, like, pretty much misread the prophecy of saying you're supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them, and that wasn't the prophecy. The prophecy was he was to bring balance to the Force, and when Darth Sidious and Lord Vader teamed up, I mean, almost instantly the twins were born, and just that created the balance. He created balance not only by becoming a Sith, and but he also brought balance by having children that were eventually going to be light-sided. So
and it kind of goes back to what Yoda said, where it's like, maybe they misread the prophecy. Like, they didn't ever rule that out. It's just kind of something that they always had to, like, go by and keep their eye on.
I always forget what Yoda talks about. He's hard to remember.
Yeah, but I mean, we could go into a whole episode about talking about how the Jedi were, you know, blind to a lot of things.
That's what makes Darth Sidious all that much more of a great bad guy, because
Yeah.
he knew what he was doing from the get-go, like from the jump. Like
Yeah.
when he killed Plagueis, like this, like he knew it. He knew everything about the Jedi. He planted himself in the exact right spot, and yeah, that just makes him all the more a great bad guy.
Yeah. Very true. All right, let's talk about that one scene.
Oh man, that
So-
was wild.
Yeah, I was not expecting this at all.
Neither was I.
I was once I saw Vader show up and they kind of had their lightsabers out. I was just expecting it to be like a little spat, and then Obi-Wan escapes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought so too.
This was.
I hate to say it, but it was
like-
satisfying to be like, this is what Lord Vader want. I shouldn't say satisfying, but well, I guess
I get what you mean.
from a screenwriter's perspective, it's like, or I guess a storyteller's perspective, I'll
It's
say
poetic.
that. Yeah, very poetic. Like he is literally doing the exact same thing that he did to him.
Yeah.
And well, to a much more extreme. I guess Obi-Wan didn't want him to fall in lava or whatever, but
Right.
yeah, it was very poetic, and I loved every second of it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
It made me speechless. I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah,
And his screams were like almost identical to Anakin's screams. From,
I noticed
from
that
Revenge
too.
of the Sith.
It was
I almost wonder if they like actually layered that on top,
It's
or
very possible,
like made
yeah.
him like watch it and try to do the exact screams or something. Because yeah, it reminded me a lot of his screams were
Yeah.
right on.
It was almost identical.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was nuts.
I love the little droids in the back that are like, "Ooh, what's going on?"
Yeah, I love the loader droid that like eventually comes and like picks him up and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
It just like doesn't
Darth
say a
Vader's
word.
like, "Hey,
Yeah,
hey."
that was a little weird, but I do think, kind of like in when Vader lets like Han Solo go in Empire.
Mm.
I think this is another situation. Some people might be like, why didn't Vader just pick him up again, and like
Smash him.
he could have easily killed
Yeah.
that droid or whatever, but he's obviously letting him go for a reason.
Yeah.
He probably wants to know why he was there in the first place,
Yeah.
with Leia and everything.
You'd think with Darth Vader, he would just, I mean, his whole thing is hunting down Obi-Wan, or
Right.
like trying to get revenge because of his pain, because he thinks, Obi-Wan killed Padme, or no, Sidious told him that he killed him in his anger.
Yeah.
But still, like, you turned her against me, blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah.
you would think with his character, he would want to do, like you said, like murder him, like on the spot. But yeah, I think he played the dumb way to, if he really wanted to get back at Anakin. But I guess he's a Lord Vader now. He has to do what the Empire wants. He has to figure out where all the Jedi are and why he was there and all that
Yeah.
stuff. But
I mean,
he's also much more older and
that's true.
possibly wiser at this stage.
Mm.
yeah, wiser as like a leader of the Empire and
Yeah.
everything, but
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, he could have just easily killed Obi-Wan too, but he instead tries to torture him and make him feel like he felt. And I don't know. I think it's a lot of it just showing the combination of Anakin and Vader kind of like fighting with each other. Like Anakin, even if he's like, if he was still good, he still has those like childish tendencies,
Yeah.
and I feel like dragging Obi-Wan through a fire is a little on the childish side, and
Yeah.
a more calculated decision would have been just to kill him and get it over with, or take him back and question him or whatever. But
It's
you know,
just not
it's just
satisfying.
it's
Yeah.
just like he's kind of like fighting with himself still. Like
I feel like that's what Sidious kind of made him into, is just this big giant brute with like childlike anger,
Yeah.
and just unleashes it, and that's why he's in power. Just not only just because it helped Sidious in the long run, but yeah, he's just a big giant brute that's in control of what
Like
he's doing.
An enforcer
Yeah,
of the Empire. And now he's got like all of his little minions doing similar things. It was interesting that in the first episode we see the Inquisitors like go to Tatooine and they're like threatening the town, and they do eventually hang that Jedi. But
they didn't hang him. They just like
they hung him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed that. I was like,
the PG-13
oh, no,
version.
there's no way they're gonna have a hanging person here.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's right.
But it was obviously they killed him before they did that. That was like the most brutal thing we saw. But we did see like, what's his name, the fifth brother?
Yeah.
The weird Asian guy.
Yeah.
What's his name? Son. I forget the actor's name.
Don't
But the fifth brother, he is always trying to like rein in Riva, from doing like overly like violent acts because it just didn't really help them in the moment. But then in this episode, you see Vader like touch down, and he just immediately goes into violent acts like as soon as he sees civilians.
Yeah.
And you could like see like the look on Riva's face where she's like, well, he did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how the Grand Inquisitor kind of came to power, because you could see like the power struggle. And what was it, the third brother? Is that his name? The Asian guy?
Fifth brother.
Fifth brother. The fifth brother was just kind of his lackey to be like, oh, I'm doing, what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm doing what they're telling me to do. But Vader wants the job done no matter what.
Yeah.
I don't care if you killed the Grand Inquisitor. He said it. He's just like, that doesn't matter to me. I want to kill Obi-Wan. Find Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And he almost like, he rewards her for like for being alive, and gives her this throne of power essentially just because the last guy died. He's like, I don't care about that.
That's the Sith way, right? Like to if you're always like striving to overthrow your master, and that kind of always builds strength in a sense. If you're stronger than your master, then you should just take him out. If you're stronger, then find someone else to train, and the cycle continues with the rule of two. So that's kind of what the Inquisitors are also somewhat doing.
Yeah.
Even if they might not supposed to be killing each other, it's just going to end up making them stronger in Vader's eyes and the Emperor's eyes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. I don't even know if we're going to see it play out in the show to the full extent. I think it might end up, either showing up in Fallen Order, like Fallen Order sequel, or maybe we're going to get another show.
Possibly fall into a book.
Well, that's a more depressing thought.
Yeah, but...
Or just lead into the comic books or something like that. The Darth Vader comic books.
Yeah, so my thoughts... You mentioned like there might be like a season 2 or something like that.
If they don't, I'd be very surprised.
I think they already said there's not going to be, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to continue the story in some way.
That's true.
So I was thinking, what if they just made a Darth Vader show? Vader and the Inquisitors.
That'd be interesting, but I think that would lessen his character, just having like, oh, Vader's on screen all the time. Like, I feel like his main thing is like he's like a cupcake. If you have cupcake for every meal, you're not gonna like it anymore. It's not as intriguing. If you have a cupcake, a little bit. Yeah.
I mean,
it brings his character more.
I don't think it would be like, oh, it's Darth Vader's adventure of the week. I think it would be more like this show where it's like a limited series. There's a story to tell, but it's mostly focused on Vader. Maybe focused on the Inquisitors too, or something like that.
Or the people on his his lava planet Mon Mothma. Is that right? No, that's not it.
Mustafar.
That's a character on the Rebellion. Yeah, Mustafar.
No, Mustafar. Like almost the people that are like worship him or whatever. Like you saw in the sequels when Kylo Ren was cutting them down to try to get the Sith thing. You remember?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, his Darth Vader's worshippers. That'd be cool if it was about that. and like Darth Vader was still like in the background somewhat, but I feel like that'd be more like a comic book lore kind of thing.
Yeah, I think if they're ever going to do a show like for anything related to that, it would focus mostly on Vader, but
Yeah.
like I said, I don't think if they ever do that, it would be like a 20 episode 5 season series, and like it's just like too much Vader, which
could be just like a 3 episode thing.
Yeah, like it would be like this show, like a 6 episode limited series, maybe like 1 or 2 seasons, because Vader's story has a lot more, especially in this era. There's so much that they could tell. I mean, the Vader comics have a lot.
Vader comics are great.
Yeah, and there's a lot that happens in those, and I feel like they could just do something similar to that. Like, it's not, those comics aren't like the Adventure of the Week either. They're mostly connected, at least for each issue or whatever. But
and what they do good about that too is what I said earlier. They keep his dialogue to a minimum, absolute minimum. He's just Darth Vader walking around, killing, slashing people, and yeah, I love that. Like what was the one, the Temple of the Snake People or something like that? That was a wild comic.
Yeah, I mean, all of them are so good. I haven't finished all of them, but I've read like a few.
They're good.
But the guy that writes those is now part of the overall. I think he's like executive, like narrative director or something like that.
I think
Charles Soule.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
That could be an indication of something. I mean, I don't.
That'd be cool if they tied in the comics with what's going on and kind of had like a Vader side quest almost to keep him distracted, or I don't know. Like Sidious is like, this is more important. Don't deal with that. Go do what I say.
Those comics are, at least the ones from 2015 and beyond, are all canon. So they all happened. So it's just a matter of if we.
But is it Disney canon?
Yeah, it's canon.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So it's just a matter of like if we see like adaptations of some of those stories, or if they just like build off of them.
That would be cool.
But yeah, I think
I'm sure Hayden Christensen would love that.
Oh yeah, I think if they did it,
I think the fans would love that.
Yeah, I think if they did it well enough, like with this show so far, they've kept Vader's dialogue to a minimum. They've treated him like pretty much perfectly, in my opinion, for the most part. So I feel like if they just continued with that, seems like they kind of know how to treat Vader. I mean, they did the same, kind of, mostly the same in Rogue One with Vader.
I think
his little like, his joke with Krennic, where he's like, "I hope you don't choke on your aspirations, director." Like that was
choke on your aspirations.
That was a little
on the nose.
A little on the nose, yeah. But overall, they did really well with Vader in that.
In Rogue One, his helmet was a little wonky, but that hallway scene, oh my gosh,
yeah,
legendary. Made it way better.
Oh, yeah,
wow,
for sure. Yeah,
I still think about it.
We'll probably get more of stuff like that in the coming episodes too.
I hope so.
I'm sure. Yeah, so a lot of people are saying like, so far we've kind of seen Obi-Wan just kind of deal with like his whole like worldview being shattered with these last 3 episodes, and this is kind of like the lowest point. Like this, what's on screen right now is his lowest point, where he's in the fire. And so I think the next, like, we're halfway done, so the next episode is kind of going to be the first of him kind of like coming back to the realization that he needs to like get his butt in gear, and like he's like the only hope right now for Leia and Luke, and like probably potentially in his mind Anakin. He probably, I think, hopefully thinks he can save or do something about Anakin.
Maybe I think he'll attempt it, because I'm not sure if it was the first episode or one of these episodes, like you get to hear Padme say, they're still good in him, and so maybe that'll recap to that, and then like go back to. I think he'll try it, and then he'll fail, obviously, and then they'll meet again in the originals, and like you could just see he's completely given up on him. Yeah. And so.
Yeah, because there's that line where he, in Return of the Jedi, when he's talking to Luke, and he's like, Obi-Wan once thought as you did. And before this show, we hadn't seen that. So obviously, Obi-Wan at some point has to think that there's still good in Anakin, because by the originals, that's not the case, because he clearly tells Luke to kill Vader.
Yeah.
So.
And then later he's like, no, I didn't. But did you? I think it was maybe you, Bradford, that showed us the redone version of Obi-Wan talking to Luke about recalling who his father was. He was like, he's the best starfighter.
Oh, and like, it's like a montage.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
And that was amazing. I hope in the future maybe they like layer that on top of the original. I'm sure they won't, but wow.
I mean, you never know.
That got to me.
Yeah, that was so good.
It added so much more to his acting. I mean, what's his name?
Alec Guinness.
Alec Guinness. I mean, say what you want because he didn't like Star Wars or whatever, but
still
he nailed
an amazing actor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even without the context of, because at that point,
he's old and he'd given up.
Anakin wasn't even Vader. Like at that point, when they made that movie.
Right. Yeah.
And especially when they were telling Alec Guinness what the backstory was. Like, in his mind, Anakin was just his old Jedi friend that died. So his performance still lined up perfectly with what ended up being true.
Yeah. You can see him, like, thinking about it, and then he snaps back, and he's like, all right. Anyway.
So good.
Like, so good.
Yeah. And I think Ewan McGregor nails some of those Alec Guinness mannerisms really well. Yes. Even in the prequels he did, but he's still kind of...
Has he said hello there yet? I don't remember.
In this show?
Yeah.
No.
I don't think so. He almost said it. He said hello to the guy that was carrying like that truck through the middle of the field. He was just like, say hello, Father. Hello. And I was like, almost one word away.
Yeah. I'm like on the fence about that kind of stuff because like memes are funny and all, but like you shouldn't make like a show or like lines, like especially in a like very serious show like this, like
but
really
it would have been
too much to it.
Like it was still like him saying hello was still a giggle, but if they added hello there, I think it would have made people a little satisfied, and it was still a giggle.
True. If he didn't say it like exactly the same, if he just said like hello there, like still in the same way, I think that probably would have been fine. But
I think that would have been
I can't stand when people are like so disappointed anytime Ewan McGregor speaks and he doesn't say that. It's like I feel bad for the guy.
It burns out the actor. Like, I mean, Hayden Christensen, for goodness sake, like, I'm sure, like, the embarrassing lines he's had to say to people, like, I hate sand, like, over and over and over again.
Yeah. So, luckily, like, at Celebration last week, I don't know if you saw, you probably didn't see any of the panels or anything. I know you've been busy, but they were so happy to be there and, like, talk with fans because, you know, back in the prequel days, like, it wasn't really a good situation for them because like anyone that went to those things were older and they didn't like the prequels. So now that people that grew up with it like us like are going to those things, like they actually get to see, you know, people that really liked those movies and really like them as actors and characters and everything. But they like fully capitalize on some of those things. Like when they both came out on their panel, Ewan McGregor said hello there.
Oh no.
Towards the end, Hayden Christensen, they were like, the interviewer's like, do you have anything to say about like how you're feeling about like the show? Like, do you have any final words? And then he just leans in, he's like, this is where the fun begins.
No.
Everyone went wild. So
awesome.
yeah, they're loving it now, which is so good because they
Yeah.
got so much hate for so long.
Oh yeah, and I mean, growing up, seeing it, you're like, yeah, it's maybe he's just a bad actor or just his lines were bad. But then you look back on it and you're like, actually, he's supposed to be the awkward weirdo.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Like, I mean, if he wasn't, if he was like confident like Obi-Wan was, it just wouldn't have made sense for his archetype. Like,
Yeah.
he's supposed to be weird and like codependent with Padme because he's not supposed to have attachments, but he's obsessed with her, and
he got plucked away from his mom in the stage of life where he really was attached to his mom. So
yeah,
then he just kind of projected that onto Padme.
yep, exactly.
So yeah,
Which is a weird thing to do to your wife. Don't make your wife your mom.
yeah,
It's weird.
but it does happen a lot, especially in those situations where kids just don't grow up with a mom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm glad that they're kind of getting the love that they deserve now.
Absolutely.
Um,
I almost hope that they somehow put Jar Jar in here just so that the actor that portrayed him can like get some validation, because he got some heat for being Jar Jar. Like, if you read some of the things that he said, he was like, I was suicidal.
Oh,
and I was
yeah.
like, oh my gosh.
yeah, he was suicidal, and he just got like constant hate mail all the time.
That's wild. To hate a character so much, like, it was a goofy character, sure, they didn't need him, but like, to write a letter to the actor who portrayed him instead
Yeah.
of maybe the writers or something, but like, that's wild. That's subhuman
Yeah.
to do
Yeah,
that, quite
It's
honestly.
ridiculous. Yeah, luckily he's doing a lot better now. He is, because like I said, he's in the same situation where people are sending him the love that he deserves, and it hopefully outweighs the bad from the
Yeah.
past. But he's also in the kids show. What is it called? Jedi Challenge, Epic Challenge, or something like that
I
on
don't
Disney
know.
Plus. It's for kids, but
Oh, okay.
he's like, it's like canon adjacent, where they kind of like it's like a kids version of American Ninja Warrior, where they like go through like these like obstacle courses, but they're like Jedi trainees,
Oh, okay.
like younglings. So they're
Mhm.
like training to be Jedi and stuff.
That's cool.
It's cool for like kids and stuff, but he's like the Jedi master in charge of it, and he like has them like do all the challenges, and he hosts it, and he does really well. I saw a couple clips of it,
That's good.
so he's back in the fold and getting the love that he deserves. So
I really hope they put him in. That would be great.
that would be so funny. And even if it's not Jar Jar, like maybe like a side character or something, like give him a role that even if he isn't getting as much hate now,
They
it's
made
still
him
a character.
Quinlan Voss. That'd be wild.
No,
It's like, whoa.
that would be weird.
That would be weird, but it'd also be like, good for him.
If
But,
it was just, I would be content with it. If it was just like a side character, like the Imperial on the screen right now that helped Obi-Wan. Like, it could be someone like that, like someone that just helps him.
for sure, and like just say something like, I appreciate you, or something like that. You're appreciated.
Yeah.
You're just like, thank you.
I love you. Yeah. Yeah, so the end, when Leia runs up, and
Oh yeah.
so do you guys think that she's going to be taken back to the Inquisitor headquarters? Where do you think this is going to end up?
I'm kind of gonna piggyback your
Backpack.
comment earlier when you said that you hope this is kind of the it
Mm-hmm.
with Leia. So I hope she doesn't get caught and we're kind of done with her,
Mm-hmm.
so we can focus more on Obi-Wan dealing with himself and dealing with Vader.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think, I mean, I guess they didn't exactly show that she was caught in this last scene. She could have, I guess, ran away and
Because she escaped those bounty hunters pretty well for a long time. Did you see that running sequence?
Yeah.
Like they were like, oh, I'm running over a log.
Yeah. We had a good conversation about that last time. How do you feel about Flea being in that episode?
That surprised me, but it also didn't. I was like, yeah,
I was like,
of course
why?
they cast the bassist from Red Hot Chili Peppers in this show.
I was like,
like who else are they gonna do?
And he was not good. He's not a good actor. Like,
No,
his lines were terrible.
His lines were terrible, and I mean, I don't. Pardon me if he does have a stutter, but he stuttered in a lot of his words. But
Which is fine if it's just part of his character, but
yeah,
like some of the delivery was just not there.
yeah, it didn't have heart in it. Like if I don't know, they should have they should have had the pirate guy from Clone Wars in it. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, they should have had him.
That
in
would have
it.
been interesting.
That would have been cool, just to have him in there for half a second, and then him run into
Hondo.
Obi-Wan and be like, "Hey, my friend."
Yeah, that would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been wanting him to show up in
Yeah.
some way in this, just because him and Obi-Wan are hilarious. Yeah, but yeah, that chase scene was rough.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Mm-hmm.
The one on Alderaan too.
That's what we're talking about.
Well, the one on the dark city planet. Forget what it's called.
Oh, Dayu.
Yeah, that one was weird too.
Yeah, the chase scenes are a little off in the show.
I think it's just because of the way, like, their the volume technology. It's like it's just a small area, so
Yeah.
they kind of have to film it in a weird way. But
You can tell that a lot of the scenes are like really teeny tiny. I mean,
Yeah.
no hate on the show, but there are some moments where you're like, that's a paper wall. And
Well, they're screens. Have you
Yeah.
seen
Oh, they are.
the gallery where they show how they film these?
mm-mm.
That's a huge room full of just like super high def screens, and they put all of the sets on the screens. So instead of using green screens now, they use literal like TVs.
And can the actor see?
Yeah.
What the okay?
Yeah.
So it's good.
That's cool.
It's good, but
Good for the actor, but for us, it's like
yeah, I feel like they
Looks
rely a
off.
little bit too much on it.
like in what was it? The Mandalorian, when he was, I think he was like on an ice planet or something like that, and like there was ice everywhere. I was like, that's paper mache, and if somebody tells me it's not, I'm going to hit them.
So they use
Because it was
Unreal-
during I think it was filmed during COVID or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's
so
why
had
they
to-
originally invented that, because of COVID, I think.
Yeah.
Or at least they eventually like relied heavily on it during COVID.
Yeah, and now they're capitalizing the crap out of it. But-
Yeah, I mean they've improved a lot. I mean there were a lot of sets on, especially the first season of Mandalorian, that they looked
great.
good, but you could tell that it was
Off.
like a very small set.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's a lot better, but I still feel like they rely a little bit too much on it.
Because with a lot of like they're jumping and moving, like in
Yeah.
the chase scene, like
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I fell over a twig. And
Yeah.
It's like, are you supposed to be a bounty hunter? Like,
Yeah,
shouldn't
they
you be flying or something?
I don't know. Like, I feel like that scene might have actually been filmed in, like, a real place. Like, maybe, like, the California forest or something like that.
Probably.
Because it looked pretty real, but I feel like they just shot it really weird.
Really small, yeah. Like,
Yeah. Like, they could have easily just did quicker cuts or something and, like, made the guys run a little bit faster and... Or had more obstacles that weren't just, like, a twig.
Yeah, like if they made the planet a little more alien rather than
Yeah, that's
it's
another...
California.
Yeah, like in this episode,
yeah,
in the fields, it was clearly just like outside of LA, like
Right,
like
exactly.
the desert area outside of LA.
and Obi-Wan was like, there used to be families and fields here, and now it's just a desert planet. And I was just like,
yeah, that
hard eye roll.
Yeah.
I was like, ugh.
I was just kind of the same way.
Yeah.
Like, come on, like if you're gonna like, it probably was like outside of LA for that scene, but like you clearly put some stuff in the background. Like there were like buildings and stuff that they added. Like, could have just added some little, like, maybe like a creature or like
Yeah. Oh,
some kind of weird tree or
going
something.
back to what I was saying about Alderaan making it more alien. Like, they could have made, like, the trees alive or something and, like, smacked the bounty hunters or something out of the way and, like, let Leia through because she's from there. Or,
Yeah.
like, an animal or something rather than just this little, like, almost pod racing droid that she has in her hand that just flies around.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, they could have, like, she's a princess. Shouldn't she have, like, a guard with her at all times?
Well, they did. Did you see the guard that, like, the
Got
guard
smacked.
came and just got...
He just got whacked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, Flea just shot him in the back. Like,
Yeah.
the guards were clearly... Because I feel like it's a planet... It's a peaceful planet.
It's a posh planet.
Yeah, they're, like, all, like, super, like, stuck up. Like,
Yeah, because Leia was pointing out, like, oh, it's a casino planet, or a casino ship. There's a pleasure
Yeah.
palace. And she's like, ew. And I was like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
Like, you know what goes on there.
The guards are probably just the same way. Like, nothing ever bad happens, so... Like,
That's true.
they
yeah.
didn't even have their blasters, like, out.
It's
or
kind of like
anything.
the Jedi guards, where they're just kind of there. Or not the Jedi guards, the Sith guards, the red ones that just stand there when...
Yeah.
In all the originals, they're all just like, well, Darth Vader died. Anyway, we're just going to stand here.
Yeah. Like, I hated that guy anyways.
Right.
Yeah. But, yeah, that scene was rough.
Mhm.
So, yeah, we'll see what happens if Reva actually does capture her.
Oh, shoot. I completely forgot your question. I just went completely off topic.
I mean, we kind
But-
of answered it.
I think that Reva will keep her in, like, her own little, almost in her own side pocket of, like, she'll capture her and just keep her in the side pocket to lure Obi-Wan in
Yeah.
and not even tell Vader what's going on, just because she's done that thus far, and I think she just wants to move up the ranks and
Yeah.
just kill Obi-Wan first, try to kill Obi-Wan for herself, and I think eventually Lord Vader's gonna kill her because of that, and she's
Right.
just because I think she obviously has her own vendetta besides pleasing Lord Vader, because when he said, like, I understand you, like, you want to move up the ranks, and you can see her face like, I don't want that crap, like, I want to kill Obi-Wan because I have a problem with it. And I think in the first scene when those younglings were fleeing, I think that has something to do with it. Like, maybe
Yeah.
she was one of the younglings, or
That's what
one of the
everyone's saying,
Jedis
yeah.
or something. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, so I think the biggest theory right now is she was one of those younglings, and that she saw Anakin, like, slaughtering everybody else, like her friends and stuff. But she somehow survived, and then, you know how Obi-Wan and Yoda go back
right.
to the temple after, like, everyone's gone, and they see everyone's dead, and they put the signal on there to alert all the other Jedi to stay away from the temple and to go into hiding. And people are thinking that maybe she was in the temple when they did that, and they didn't even bother to, like, try to find survivors. They just told people to stay away and then left.
That could be.
And that's why she has a vendetta against Obi-Wan.
That could be. And yeah, and because they keep saying, like, or the Grand Inquisitor was like, because you are the least of us. So she's obviously probably a Jedi or
Yeah, I mean, I think
some
they
kind of
all
light-sided
were.
character.
Yeah. I think they all were previous Jedi.
Right.
They, the Empire kind of had a tendency to take the, like, youngling Jedi instead of killing them. I mean, obviously Anakin did, but there were some that they kept, and a lot of them became Inquisitors.
Right, and that's why the Grand Inquisitor wants to take all the Jedi for interrogation, and she just wants to slaughter them just because she
Exactly.
has a vendetta.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I love this shot, though, where she's, like, all in the shadow.
It's like, I wonder who that is, but
Well,
no,
for
it's a cool shot.
For
yeah.
Leia, that's the purpose for Leia. She's like, she didn't know. She was like, "Are you who I'm supposed to meet?"
If she didn't have the same haircut in every scene, like, I would have not known who that was. But
Well, yeah. Like I said, I don't think it was supposed to confuse us.
Right,
It was
yeah.
just a nice, like, evil.
If she
shot-
had like an
shadowy
Inquisitor
figure.
helmet on, that would have made all the more difference.
That
And
would've
then
been
like
kinda
take
cool.
off her helmet and like, hey, it's me.
Yeah.
I did want to go back and talk about seeing human Anakin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can pull that up. I love that, like, he was on this this thing with the stormtroopers.
Oh yeah.
I love that whole interaction. It like kept you on your like on the edge of your seat because you like didn't know if he or Leia was gonna slip up, and then he slipped up, but
Yeah.
then
and
they
then he-
believed him.
Yeah.
That's that's what was going through my head. I was like, he better say that or this dialogue's about to be crap.
Yeah.
So that was great, great writing there.
Yeah, it was a perfect scene, I think.
Yeah.
And sorry, we'll get to your part, but
yeah, it's
since
fine.
I just happened to click on here, the whole interaction with him and Leia, where she was like, "You knew my mother, didn't you?" Like she knows.
yeah. No,
and
this
it's like we know like Leia's force sensitive, obviously, and like,
Yeah.
she is able to read people really well.
Yeah.
Which I think, going back to what you said at the beginning, where you were kind of like tired of Leia and think it takes away from her her character progression over, but I think it really adds to it because
That's a good point. Yeah.
because it really shows how she's really good at reading people, and like obviously she becomes a politician, and it really adds to like where she came from, and it shows like how she knew about Obi-Wan in the first place and how she wanted to like get his help in A New Hope.
Yeah.
And how like close they seem to be getting on this whole adventure.
Yeah.
But his whole story about like his brother, do you guys think like he actually had a brother, or was he trying to like metaphorically talk about Luke to her? Because he was like,
I don't remember what you're talking about.
he was like, she was asking like, did you know my mother? Are you my father? Did you know where I came from? And he was like, no, I'm not your father. And he never said that he like knew them. He just kind of changed the subject, and he was like,
Yeah.
you know, I was taken from my family when I was young, and I barely remember it, but I remember a baby, and I think I have a brother. And it was a very similar story to hers, because you know she was taken from her family when she was a baby, and a brother, and she has a baby brother. And stuff
I'm
like
sure it's not that deep into it. I'm sure they're
Yeah.
just one-offing what he's saying, because you know all Jedi were taken as little kids when they found out, and if they weren't taken by Jedi, they were taken by the Sith. So
yeah,
or killed.
or just never found.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, back to the Anakin thing. How far back was this?
I think
There
it
it
was
is.
when-
Got right on it.
Is that supposed to be Anakin? I thought that was supposed to be. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's Anakin.
I thought that was supposed to be
Can I zoom in?
Darth Sidious. I was like, that looks like a bad Sid. He's wearing brown, but
Yeah.
yes, it is Anakin. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Anakin. So what were you gonna say? Just how amazing it was.
Well, I at first I thought it was gonna be Qui-Gon,
Yeah, that would make sense.
and
too.
then I was like, this could be Anakin, and then he turned around. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I was blown away.
I almost wish that it was like the burnt version of Anakin rather than him being all cloaked like that, just because, I don't know, seeing him like that would have been more of,
like traumatic.
not only traumatic, but like it would be what what Obi-Wan's thinking, because that's the last time he saw him. It was all burnt up and stuff. Like,
Yeah, but he probably viewed that version of him more as like the dark side version, like a Vader. Whereas like this was, right before that they like actually fought.
that's true.
Because he has his arms crossed
like he did.
just like he did on Mustafar.
Oh yeah.
Because
Before they landed.
Because this far back, I was watching it probably from how far I am to this TV. Like, I thought it was like the messed up Vader, like all back to tanky and stuff. Because his face is super pale. But now that I see it a little more big screen, that's definitely Anakin, and not Sidious like I thought it was. He looks so pale. I thought he was just like
he does look pretty
dead
pale.
Skinned, but that's
yeah.
right.
I think it's just supposed to show like his dark side, corruption.
Mm-hmm. And that's the best looking Anakin. His like dark side walking into the Jedi Temple. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Best looking dude.
Yeah.
Super gay for him right now.
With that music playing too, like
yeah.
Oh man, one of the best scenes. Anything else you wanted to say about that?
I just wanted your reactions.
No.
I think we're all on the same page there. It was good.
Yeah.
And it was like a good. I feel like we're probably gonna see more of Obi-Wan, like seeing stuff like that, especially if he's gonna go into like a back to tank. After he got burnt, like he's probably going to go into back to tank. It might be similar to like how Book of Boba Fett, you know, kept having flashbacks, because if you're sleeping, you're going to be dreaming. So he's probably going to have a lot of flashbacks.
Hopefully Clone Wars?
Yeah, maybe like prequel era or Clone War era, like
Order
flashbacks.
66 flashbacks. Probably.
Yeah, I hope it's something new and not just like more rehashed footage from the prequels.
Yeah, me too.
I think that's one of the big reasons why they recast Hayden, was hopefully because he's gonna have some scenes as Anakin, not just Vader. So I'm kind of hoping for that. So we'll see. Any other final thoughts on that?
I don't think so.
I think this is by far the best episode so far.
These are the fight scenes for me.
I think, I don't know, it's hard to say. Like, I loved this episode. I don't know if it was the best so far. I don't know.
What would you put as the best?
I really liked the second episode. I really liked the first episode too. It's hard to say. I can't really say.
There's all parts to them that are all good.
Yeah.
And there's all parts of them that are really bad. But
I mean, I wouldn't say really bad, but there are definitely weak points. Like, the chase scene we talked about. Definitely like the weak one.
And that's more just like cinematography and stuff like that, rather than the story. Actually, the story's really good.
I'm enjoying the story.
Yep.
Like, this could be almost a comic book, and I would read every page of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I can't really say which one's my favorite until it's all out and I see them all.
Fair enough.
I think my favorite might have yet to come. So we'll see. I know the ending's gonna be like, I'm gonna be an emotional wreck at the ending.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah, I'll be on the verge of tears probably.
I probably will tear up.
Unless it has to do with Leia or Luke, but yeah, if it has to do with Obi-Wan, I'll definitely be in tears.
We'll definitely have to see like Obi-Wan go back to Tatooine, and we'll probably see Luke again just as like a short little thing, and I'm sure we'll see Leia go back probably earlier than the finale, but we might see like another glimpse of her or something. But as far as like the finale goes, like it's probably gonna be very emotional between him and Vader. Yeah. All right, well, that was part 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and we got an hour in of discussion, so
sweet.
That was a lot longer than even last time, which was for 2 episodes. So
that's good.
That's good. Okay, so we're gonna go just talk about a few news topics here, just to finish things out a little bit. So how far are you on the Halo series?
I think episode 3.
3? Okay. We'll talk about that later then, because I do want to I want thoughts on that because there are a lot of thoughts.
Overall,
do you like it so far? That tells me
I'll watch it. It's the story's not pulling me.
Yeah.
The story is not pulling me. Like, I remember the feeling of like Eric Thompson bringing in those Halo books to youth group and like reading or whatever and being like, wow, this is interesting. But this, I know it's not supposed to tie into the direct Halo canon or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, they're just like, they're kind of retelling the story.
Yeah, and which is what reminded me when a human showed up talking to Prophet of Mercy or whatever he's called.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I don't like this so far. And like him having his helmet off all the freaking time talking, and I'm like, whatever. But
yeah,
I mean, it's and the little girl's story that got rescued, like
why in the world is that such a focus?
Why is she is she gonna be Cortana or something like that? No, like goodbye. Yeah. make Master Chief more freaking interesting, and they're not.
It does get better.
Okay,
but it doesn't get amazing. I will say that.
I wouldn't think it does, because I mean, even the graphics for like seeing a lot of it, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I showed Spencer an episode of, though I think the worst scene you haven't even seen yet. It's in one of the last episodes.
I do like how they're incorporating the video game noises into the show. I did like that a lot. Cool. But it was kind of clunky, like when the Spartans first dropped in the first episode, and you see like their HUD view, and you're like, all right, I get what you're trying to do, like the double jump and like the this and the reload and the this is how you hold the weapon.
They go into first person a bunch. Yeah.
I was like, that was cool. Do that once. Stop doing it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. The worst like CGI scene is in the last episode, and it's like blatantly bad looking. I don't know how it got approved.
Oh no.
So, but
I accidentally subscribed to it just because I was like, oh, Halo, and like I clicked on it and it was like, you just subscribed to Paramount Plus, and I was like, all right, now I have to watch it.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I enjoyed it. You just have to keep in mind that it's like, it's not the game, like it's different, it's separate. It does get better.
Okay.
It gets pretty interesting. Probably basically after the point that you're at.
Yeah.
So I recommend, it's short, so I recommend sticking with it.
Okay.
You'll probably come out the other side, like at least enjoying, like being entertained.
Yeah.
So
we'll see.
Yeah. So Stranger Things season 4 premiered last week at the same time Obi-Wan did. And which is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think I heard about that.
Yeah, so
I only heard about it because my sister said she was going to watch it all weekend, and I was like, oh, that's something I can do this weekend.
Yeah, I started it. Apparently it's going to be split, so like you get the first 7 episodes.
I'm on the 7th episode, and every scene is like could be a credit, like credits pop up, and I'm like, there's no way they split this up. And then now that you say that, I'm like, oh no.
Really?
I'm like in the last few scenes of it.
Really?
And I'm like, if this is the end, this was the worst season ever. Because
there's supposed to be one more season.
Okay, because if where I'm at is building up to the end right now in this season, throw it away.
Yeah, they're saying
not worth it.
This is like the beginning of the end. That's kind of what the tagline is, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, they have one more season till it's completely done. But yeah, I think I'm on episode 4.
Okay.
So I'm not done with it yet. I love Stranger Things. It's such a good show.
I like it. I wasn't a super fan of season 3.
Me either.
Just because they did too much like in real world stuff and not enough like superpowers and what's 11's deal.
Yeah, it wasn't enough like horror and mystery. It was a lot of like
teeny bopper crap.
Yeah, it was a little much of that.
Yeah, too much lovey-dovey, like, oh, I'm in love with this person. Let's follow up with season 2 and see how these two are doing. And it's like, all right, okay.
Like, nothing will compare to the first season. It was so good.
It was really good. Second season, I don't really quite remember, honestly.
Yeah. I think, like, those two seasons just kind of, like, merged. Yeah, like, kind of merged together.
Yeah.
Because they are similar, because they're so good.
Mm-hmm.
But they're very, like, similar in tone. But yeah, it started out as, like, a very, like, mysterious horror. Not even, like, that horror. It was just kind of like a thriller.
Yeah. I like how they...
mysterious kind of thing.
What's that CIA deep cover thing that they did with, like, people taking acid all the time? MK Ultra. They highlighted that a lot. That was, like, some big secret governmental thing where they took, I don't know if it was criminals or they took undesirables, I think is what it was. Right. And they gave them like huge amounts of LSD and psilocybin and like tried to see if they could create super soldiers out of them. Yeah. And it just wound up making them crazy. Like, I think, what was it? Black Mass or something like that Johnny Depp, like, mobster Boston movie or whatever. I think the main character in it, they said something that he was a part of MK Ultra. He was in prison for so long, and they just dosed him with heavy amounts of LSD, and he came out being a psychopath. Yeah. So, yeah. MK Ultra, I'm a big fan of, like, the sci-fi stuff about that. It's really cool to see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's similar to, like, some of the experiments that they're doing on, like, the kids in Stranger Things. Mm-hmm. Like, trying to basically make remote assassins.
Yeah.
You can just kill someone with your mind.
That is cool.
It's crazy. Yeah, so I'm not done with it yet, but apparently the, like, the main monster in this season, the Vecna monster, is, like, all practical. Like, it's not CGI.
Oh, yeah. I would think so. I mean, he looks real to me.
Let's see if I can bring it up.
Yeah, it looks real.
Yeah. There's a lot of, like, close-ups of him, and it's so detailed. Mm-hmm. I'm sure, like, some scenes are CGI, just when he, like, has those, like, arms and stuff. Mm-hmm. I know that's probably CGI, like the tentacles.
Right.
And when they move and stuff, but, like, everything else apparently is all practical, which is super impressive.
Have you gotten to the episode where they talk about number 1 yet?
No. Okay. I just finished the episode where Max, like, basically triumphs over the monster.
Okay.
Which was
so that's
really
like,
cool.
I think that's like episode 5.
Yeah, I'm either on 4 or 5. I forget.
Yeah. And I think it was just lightly touched on by like the one of the guard dudes that's trying to help 11, or that's friends with 11 or something like that. And he's just like, did you ever hear the story about number 1 or something like that? Because she's trying to like do the little game and trying to get it to number 3 or something like that. And he's just like, there was somebody else like you that like tried to do something like this, and he puts the little disc on the number 1. She's like, number 1? I thought he was a myth or something like that. And yeah, I ultimately think that that's who the bad guy is number 1, and they just left him in the upside down.
Yeah.
So
it's got to come back around to like making those experiments more responsible for everything that's going on in the upside down and stuff. Because why else would all that stuff happen in Hawkins and nowhere else?
Right.
Yeah. So good. So if you haven't seen Stranger Things,
Oops.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's good. Season 1's good.
I feel like this is probably the like scariest season.
Definitely more. I told my wife, Abby, not to watch it because it's so gruesome.
Yeah.
The first episode, like bones cracking, blood spilling. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like my sister Connie, she was sitting right next to me playing the iPad. I was like, Connie, get out of here, because it was wild.
Yeah, and just this monster in general is like super scary compared to the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Because every season,
the Demogorgon in season 1 was pretty
scary,
pretty
but
terrifying.
The scariest part about it was just like not knowing why and what it is.
Yeah,
like what the upside down was.
Mm-hmm.
And then like by the end of it, you're like, okay, like he's scary, but at least we know like what, like, I mean, we kind of know like what he is and why he's there.
Mm-hmm.
But now like these guys are just like this guy is just like, it's the mind games, right? Like that's the scariest part, is like he can get in your mind and make you think whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like he's the scariest one. Like it's like demon possession basically.
Yeah.
And what he does to the body when like that's
just
scary.
makes him a meat puppet. It's wild.
Like
just
the bones
empty of nothing.
Like the bones like crack, like it's like,
and the eyes are gone.
yeah, the eyes just like go in, and like it's scary.
Yeah.
When that first happened to that cheerleader, I was like, oh, what is happening?
I was like, she's gonna come back, right? Something's happened. She's just in the upside down. There's no way she's completely filleted like that. Liked Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I liked that story just because it wasn't all like mega super monsters fighting each other in the sky, destroying buildings everywhere.
Right.
And I liked WandaVision for what it was. I think they should have did the whole multiverse thing in her show. I don't think they should have made it Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, just because, I mean, I don't even think he's in the comic books for House of M when that comes out. There's a lot of people not in it, but I don't know. Like, Doctor Strange in Marvel now isn't even that interesting really of a character, because his character's been gone for what, like 3 or 4 since Endgame, and I don't know. I never found him too interesting. He was interesting at the time, and they left it. They turned the stove off and let the iron sit for too long, and now it's like, oh, let's turn it back on and try to make him cool again. It's like, it's been since what, 2018, 2019, since Endgame or something, and I don't know.
I mean, I think a lot of that is just because of the pandemic. I think Multiverse of Madness was supposed to come out like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Originally. Same with No Way Home. It was supposed to be like a year before. So I think that's part of it. Mm-hmm. They definitely are like making too much. However,
too much. Oh my god.
With Moon Knight, I think you would like it more because it's not connected to anything.
Yeah, I would like that, but still, again, like, there's too much. There's too many stories I have to follow. Like, just to keep up with some random like dialogue with somebody, everybody like, oh, did you notice that? And I'm like, no, I don't want to have to go back to shout out to Comics Explained, because I watch him to figure out what's going on. He's on YouTube. But I have to go back to people like that who are like, okay, this is what's really happening, and this is what happened in the comic books. This is what's happening in this. And I'm like, I have to do homework to watch a show now, and it's like exhausting.
Yeah, I mean, technically you don't really have to, but if you do want to get everything out of it, then you do. And I agree, that is exhausting.
And I understand that phase, whatever 4 or 5, whatever it is on now, that it's probably for the next generation of people, because Iron Man came out, 10 years ago or whatever, and
2008.
2008, yeah. Oh, well, 14 years ago, wow. But yeah, I mean, like, it's obviously for the next generation and for them to get like pulled up on it, but I don't know, it's just too much. Like, even I don't even think my kids care. All they watch is that Amazing Spider-Man show.
Well,
yeah,
your
I'm sure,
kids are pretty young.
yeah, that's true. And I'm trying to hammer superheroes into their heads. My oldest likes Batman because he played the second Lego Batman all the way through on his own, beat the whole game. 5 years old, and but that took like all of Thailand. That was like 13 months. So, but he's got it. He still plays it. He loves it. Our youngest just says he's Spider-Man all the time. He has a Spider-Man hoodie on all the time, and if he doesn't have it on, he'll cry. Or he has to have something on Spider-Man at all times. And if you say, "Hi, Abraham," he says, "No, I'm Spidey." All the time.
It's like what Spencer was like.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, I don't know.
I recommend...
I feel like the gas tank for me enjoying Marvel stuff is empty right now.
Yeah.
And maybe one day I'll come back to it when it's, like, when X-Men show up on scene, but...
that might... I'm worried about that.
I'm worried about that too. I mean, I know John Krasinski is, spoiler alert for whoever hasn't seen it, I know John Krasinski's in Multiverse of Madness, I think.
I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it yet either. Because when it comes out, you'll scroll through Instagram, like search stories or something. You'll be like, "Oh, John Krasinski was in Multiverse of Madness. Wow, thanks Instagram."
Yeah,
now I don't need to see the whole movie.
No Way Home. It was completely spoiled for me.
It wasn't really for me. I didn't think that was going to happen. I desperately tried to keep away from any spoilers when it happened. I think I saw it the second day it came out in Thailand.
Oh, I waited like a month.
We saw it. My kids saw it. Abraham fell asleep on me, but I was glued to it the whole time. And I was like, all right, I think that's the satisfying Marvel movie that I can leave off on and take like 3 or 4 years to push myself away.
Yeah.
Slowly and become an adult. Finally.
Well, I think if you watched Moon Knight with like the mindset that it's just not connected to anything and it's just like a show about a superhero, and like I wouldn't even classify him as a superhero, honestly.
No,
he's just like a spirit in me or something.
Yeah, it's like a guardian of a god. Like, yeah. So I recommend like watching it with that mindset.
I'm on episode 2 or 3 or something, and I don't know, maybe I was just cleaning the house at the time and just couldn't get glued to it, but yeah, it was like background noise. I couldn't get into it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one you gotta have to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Not because it's connected to anything else, but just like it takes a lot of like attention to like be like, oh, that is happening.
Okay.
Oh, like you just kind of have to like think about it.
Yeah. Like if 15-year-old me who is obsessed with like Norse gods and Egyptian mythology and stuff like that saw that, I would love it. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm sorry I'm bagging on it so much, but I can't get away from it.
I'm just saying you should give it another chance.
Okay, yeah, I'll
with that
do
mindset.
That. Yeah,
because you don't have to worry about like paying attention to like call outs for like other characters and stuff like that. Just focus on the character.
Right.
That's even taking place in America, so
yeah.
But I will say, Loki, really good.
Yep.
Loki was really good. Then again, I think all 3 of those came out at similar times, and Falcon Winter Soldier came out when I and my wife and my 2 kids were stuck in Bangkok in a quarantine room for 10 days in like the smallest studio apartment with 1 bed, and like we were trying to adjust to the time zone difference, and that was my saving grace, was watching all of that for 10 days. And yeah,
that explains why you got so burnt out too.
Yeah, it was back to back for me just because I was stay-at-home dad in Thailand and had nothing else to do besides teach my kids, and then when they'd sleep I just bam, 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 watch all Marvel stuff, and just, yeah, I definitely got burnt out.
Yeah, that makes sense. Anyways, yeah, we can always talk about Marvel more when we have like a Marvel like show to cover, or there's like a news thing that happens or something.
Okay.
Were you ever a Sonic fan?
My cousins were. I played the games, but I did not play like the GameCube games where it was like Sonic was like moving in all 360 directions. I just did the 2D like.
Yeah, like Sega.
Yeah,
ones.
I never played any of those games just because I watched the show somewhat, and like the dialogue was always wonky. Like,
sorry.
So,
yeah, it was always pretty cheesy, but
yeah, in the games at least. But I genuinely enjoyed the second one, the movie that is. I enjoyed the first one too. My kids loved it. They just watched it. They were excited. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but at the end, my son came running home to his grandma. At the end, he was like, "There's gonna be a third one." And he's black this time. It's Black Sonic. And I was like, his name's Shadow. And he was just like, no, it's Black Sonic. And I was like, okay, all right, whatever.
Yeah, that's awesome. I haven't seen him yet either, but I do plan to. But the new Sonic game that's coming out is called Frontiers, and it's kind of a big deal because the last few Sonic games over the last few years apparently have just been terrible.
I believe it.
So this one apparently is going to be like kind of like open world. It actually looks really cool. So I don't know if we want to just like watch a little bit of this footage, but it looks like something I would actually want to play.
It almost reminds me of Spyro or something like that, where it's like, yeah, I like that. It's cool.
Yeah, it looks like a lot more like challenging and
puzzly.
Yeah, and like more involved when you have like an open world to kind of play in.
Yeah, this looks good.
Yeah, I mean, I never really grew up with Sonic, but I always liked playing it like when I had the chance. Like our cousin had a Sega Genesis, and we would play Sonic at his house when we were there sometimes.
It almost reminds me like a mixture of Jedi Fallen Order with the landscape, and with a mix of like what was that game for GameCube? Samus. Those games. Metroid. Like, it's almost a mixture of that, where it's like video gamey, but also the landscape looks good. So.
Yeah, people are
puzzles,
saying it's
obviously.
like Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I could see that.
So, we'll see. I'll probably check it out. I think there's a chance it might come to Game Pass or something, so if it's on there, I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, that'll be something I'll probably watch for the next year and a half while I watch my son play it over and over again.
Yeah, this looks like something they would like.
Oh yeah. Finn's one of his best friends is obsessed with Sonic. He has like a Sonic like onesie that has a hood over it that's obviously too small. Like the sleeves go up to like right here. And like, dude, you're like 6. And he's like, I'm Sonic. Okay.
I mean, hey, you did that with Pokemon, so
for sure. I for sure did. I ruined Pokemon for a lot of people.
So, the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 teaser, did you guys watch it yet?
I did not.
Put it in the Discord.
I watched it on my way here.
It's a live action trailer, which is interesting.
That's unusual.
Because all the like characters are based off of real actors, obviously,
right.
like every game does now.
Is that live action?
Yeah.
Man, that's just the lighting makes it look fake almost, but
kinda, yeah.
It's pretty cool. Ooh, don't like that. Is that blood? Come on, man. That's a weird thing to do.
I would play the sound, but I don't want to get a copyright strike.
Yeah.
But yeah, this looked cool. This is just a teaser. they said the full reveal is going to happen next week. But
That is cool. Oh, there he is.
there's Ghost. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
that is awesome.
Yeah.
The last 2 games have not been good,
Yeah.
so I want to go back to Modern Warfare.
I will say, I kind of liked Cold War at what they were trying to do with it.
Yeah, I like the campaign.
I liked the campaign. I like all the campaigns. Everybody always rags on me for playing the campaigns and not playing the multiplayer at all. But that's what I play them for. I play for the story. I don't play for the online crap. But
Yeah, I mean, they're always
which there's nothing
pretty
wrong
good.
with it. But I mean, I really liked Cold War's campaign. Like, you could really. I haven't gone through it a second time, but I heard like decisions you make at the beginning of like your character or something, it affects the story a little bit or something.
Yeah.
So I need to go back and play it again. But
Yeah, it's
what was the one before that? Oh,
Modern Warfare.
No. The most recent one, Vanguard.
Oh.
That was rough.
Yeah.
The campaign was dog crap. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Like, just the first scene, or the first level or whatever.
The train?
And like they offed one of the characters, and like they did not shed a tear. They did not care. I was like, isn't this like one of you guys? And like they didn't talk about him, didn't mention him ever again. I was
mean,
like,
they-
oh.
You find out later that they didn't really know each other.
Oh, okay. Well,
But-
still, like,
But that's not the problem
No
I had
mention
with
of the
it.
guy.
The problem I had was like they went from like Modern Warfare was like very focused on like being pretty realistic and like grounded,
yeah.
and then Cold War like really stretched that again, like they always had in the past. But it was like okay.
Still
and then
tied. Yeah.
Vanguard, one that takes place in World War II, like an era that has been done many times before, and everyone knows
200,000 times. They should have
very-
stopped at World War II.
everyone knows
Literally
very
called it World War II.
very well like what happened during those like times, like everyone studied it a lot. And they just made stuff up.
Well, they did the same thing that Battlefield did, right? Like, they just made these stories, like, out of their butt, and we're just like, yeah, this is a cool story. I'm like, yeah, that would have been cooler if it was real.
Yeah,
Not
like-
some chick. Have you played the Battlefield World War II one?
Yeah,
Like, the chick's, like, skiing through, like, a German-occupied fortress,
Yeah.
and she's like, I'm just skiing and killing all of you, don't mind me. And I'm like, okay, I mean, like, yeah, don't get me wrong, the story was great, but I was like,
yeah.
there's just a lot of it that's like, it's way too they're trying too hard. They need to, I think we've talked about this before in the past, Brad, it's like, they need to take like 2 years to be like, okay, let's get a real story, get this going, which I think they really did a good job with Modern Warfare. The most recent one was the story. Wow,
that
so
studio always nails the story.
good. They
Infinity
nailed
Ward
it.
is always so good.
And
That's why I'm excited about the new one.
the online for it is still going.
Yeah, I mean Warzone was born out of that, and it's still going strong.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the nights like during COVID, like Warzone saved a lot of our friendships just because we could not like communicate with each other and play
and
games with each other.
It was free, so like
yeah, I
some
feel
of
like it
you
made our
guys-
friendships stronger just
Yeah.
because we played online like every single day during COVID, and it was awesome.
Yeah,
But I will say, ever since I got Warzone and everything's been updated, I cannot play Modern Warfare. The story on it again, you'll probably have to help me get it back, but I keep trying to re-download it and play it over again, and it says the file's corrupt or something like that. I'm like,
oh, didn't that
this is my
happen to you,
favorite
Spencer?
one.
Was that you that happened to, like a year ago? Someone had that same issue where
Yeah,
it said
I think
it
I
was
just
corrupt.
had to re-download the whole entire game.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's
I
like
keep doing
200
that.
gigs.
But again, I have the old, huge Xbox One
Yeah,
from
that's true.
whatever, 8 years ago, but I mean, I don't know. It still works fine.
It's almost 20 or 10 years ago.
Well,
I said 20 years.
was it? I
Yeah.
know The Office was still on, I think.
So
Yeah, so
2013.
It was a while ago. But
Yeah.
Jeez.
yeah, I was still living with my parents. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, that thing is still been trucking along, just barely.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, with World War II games, they're just like, they feel like they need to cater to like how a modern war game is made, where like you got all your guns with like 1 billion attachments, and
Like my gun needs to be purple, and I need to be wearing like joggers,
and every
like
character in the
yellow
story,
joggers.
like in Vanguard, you play as like these fictional spec ops people that clearly never would have existed back then.
Right.
And you got all these like crazy attachments on your guns that never would have existed back then.
Right.
And it's like just stop.
The at that time, race was a big issue, and having a black commander from Britain be like one of the secret guys that makes a big difference in the war would have never happened, because if you do any research on Winston Churchill, you will know why.
Yeah, and to be fair, they did have like a few scenes where like a lot of soldiers clearly had a problem with him being in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another issue, is like but they can't really win, right? Like they can't go one way and be like, have it super accurate, because then one side, cries out and gets people to cancel them, and then the other side, if they get what they want, then the other side cries out and they get canceled because of that. So it's like they can't really win in that situation. So I kind of understand, but maybe we should just stop making World War II games. Like, we've had enough.
But also at the same time, the modern warfare games, I mean, the story is good, but I mean, there's just nothing new. There's nothing like spicy about it besides from the story. Like, I mean, like the gameplay is really what I mean. Like, just okay, I got an MP5 and I got a Dragunov. Like, okay, like that's in every single modern warfare game. I mean, I personally liked the ranking of them. I don't know, I could go on and on about it, but I liked World War II just because it had been many years since a World War II game came out and everybody was excited about it. Advanced Warfare, I liked so much, and I will harp about it. I don't care if anybody hates that game. I loved Advanced Warfare.
I mean, I like the zombies.
I like the zombies. The story, I like the story just because
The story was okay.
It's long, and it's the gameplay is fun. It's not boring. I mean, the story is a little weird. Not only just because it has Kevin Spacey still in it, but yeah, I mean, he does end up being the bad guy. You get to push him off a roof. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will harp on that all day, that I love that one. I honestly don't even remember like Call of Duty 1 or anything. I remember Big Red 1, but I don't remember much besides that.
I mean, you remember like the original Modern Warfare games. Like COD 4, we played like with Dave, and
I remember it like vague. I remember games off the story, like the multiplayer. You could tell
you
me
don't
X, Y, and
remember
Z.
Like, playing with Dave and stuff.
I remember playing Modern Warfare, like the first Modern Warfare with Dave.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I remember playing World at War a lot because Zombies was on there, and because that was also your favorite one. Man, I can't remember much else. My brain's been crap since Thailand. I don't remember a whole lot. But
yeah, I mean, after World at War, you guys kind of stopped playing Xbox for a while, and then
I think it's just because everybody went to college at the time. Wasn't that right? No,
I was still in high
Xbox 360 was still around, wasn't it?
Yeah, so Modern Warfare 2 came out, and then that's when I kind of started playing online a lot. That's when I really got into Call of Duty. Because if you remember, like, when we used to play, like, at Dave's house and stuff,
It was all the time.
We were all like pretty even, except like you and Dave were probably the best ones because you guys played it the most.
Mm-hmm.
And like
especially in Halo. And
we
stuff
were all
like that.
terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, Halo 2.
I remember when I started getting bad at Call of Duty was like around Modern Warfare. Dave was still really good because he was older and like, you know, he's a youth pastor, so he could just stay at home and play that all the time.
Yeah.
And I remember you were getting really good, and I don't know if it was David. I remember it was one of your friends that I wasn't that close with, but somebody else got really good at it. I was so
Definitely
mad.
wasn't David.
I was so mad. I was just like, all right, well, I guess I'm never playing ever again.
It's probably the Nobles. They got ridiculous.
Oh, yeah,
because they
Andrew
just
Noble.
played it all the time.
That's who it was. Andrew Noble got really good at it, and then never saw him again. Christian got good at it.
Christian cheated.
Yeah, he cheated a lot. I remember he got
his
kicked
Xbox
off.
banned so many times.
Yeah.
But then he switched to PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
So
But
funny.
yeah, the Call of Duties have always the stories. What would you say is besides Vanguard? What would you say is the worst story?
Black Ops 3 is the worst by far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Because
that's
it
true.
never ever ends up making any sense at all.
Yeah, it's all just like they're trying to incorporate like the afterlife and technology, saying like this is the afterlife. We made it.
It was like more like CIA stuff, like we were talking about before, but it's like it never ends up making any sense. Like they purposefully left it like very confusing and never really answered any questions that you might have.
I wouldn't be mad if they made another one of that to further along the story, or maybe piggyback off it or something like that.
Nah.
Just to explain things, just because, well, like even a prequel or something, just to follow along with what actually happened to those guys, because all you got were glimpses and stuff like that, and they were just like the main bosses of each level or something like that. And I think it would be cool to see what actually happened to them maybe falling off one by one, kind of like in Reach, Halo Reach, where like every character just kind of like died off, and you're like, oh no, and then it just jumps into Black Ops 3. I think that'd be pretty interesting. But yeah, I agree with you. Black Ops 3 was definitely the worst story.
Yeah, I mean, especially since, I mean, I guess a prequel would solve this issue, but you just don't care about the characters at all.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would want to care about them. Like, especially since I just didn't like the like futuristic Call of Duties that much in the grand scheme of things. I liked Advanced Warfare with the zombies.
Yeah.
Campaign wasn't that bad, but it wasn't Call of Duty to me. Those three just don't feel like Call of Duty to me at all.
Yeah.
So, but they each had their strengths and a lot of weaknesses.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyways, yeah, I'm excited about the new one. It's coming out in October, I think. It's going to continue the story of the last Modern Warfare. There's going to be a new Warzone, and they're finally going to make it like a separate game. So you won't have Warzone connected to...
That's good.
So if you just want to play... Yeah, if you just want to play the campaign, you won't have to download Warzone too.
Yeah.
And like all that kind of stuff. It's such a mess.
Yeah, they screwed up big time with that. They should have just made it like,
Yeah, I don't think they anticipated it.
Because I think they did that originally, didn't they? Or did they? No, they didn't.
It was supposed
tried
to, just
to
be
do
a
that.
mode.
And when you'd see the icon of the game, like it was the same as Modern Warfare, and then you'd see Modern Warfare's Warzone at the bottom of each of them. And you're like, what am I playing? Like,
Well, it was fine for when Modern Warfare was the only game at the time. Because it was all connected. You know, if whatever guns you had on one, like it was just a mode that you would go into. It was just Warzone. Like you pick campaign, multiplayer, or Warzone. But then Cold War came out, and then they had to like integrate it in a weird way. So it's like you had to have both games installed if you wanted to play Warzone and Cold War. And then they did it again with Vanguard, and it just got such a mess. Like, you haven't played it in a while, I don't think, but
No, I haven't played it since Verdansk, I think.
Yeah,
I haven't played it since then.
It's so what's the word? Bloated.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Because you have every single gun from Modern Warfare, Cold War, and Vanguard.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's all more like tricks and stuff like that I don't care to learn, just because there's just going to be 1,000 more things. Like,
it's just
you're
so
like when you guys talking about it on the Discord, I'm just like I don't care, just because I'm like, it's a new thing, and I'm like, just make a new game already. They're just being lazy about it and not integrating it into an actual game with that kind of stuff. It's just,
I mean, I do
more
think
Warzone stuff.
I do think they need to stop making Call of Duties every year and then just focus on like updating it like they have been with Warzone.
That'd be better, yeah.
And they are officially, I think, taking a break after this one comes out. So I think that'll be good, but
That's good.
yeah, it is a lot. It's too much to fit into one game. Well, into like 3 or 4 games at once. Like,
yeah, and you can tell in the most recent Call of Duty. What was it called again? Vanguard. They just made it to add some World War II stuff into it. You know that the story was just like written off of a napkin, like, here's what we're gonna do, I guess, and then we'll make everything super modern, and like you can have a red dot sight on your MP40 and it'll be super cool. And I was like,
That's so stupid.
yeah, that's why World at War will always be the best World War II game, I think. Because even if they did have like red dot sights, quote unquote, but it was like accurate, semi-accurate, and you can only have one attachment on a gun.
yeah, not like 15 or 16, and you're like, oh, this will do this if I do that, and I'm like, okay, whatever.
It's
I
like a
have to
whole
look
new
it up
gun.
to be like, what if I wanted to do this, and you have to add this and paint it this and put this sticker on, and I'm like,
Yeah,
oh
how
my
many?
gosh.
What is it? 10 attachments you can have?
Yes, probably.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, 10.
including keychains and
Yeah.
stickers and like
Like 10?
branding marks into your gun, and it's like, wow, super cool. Like, the guy who picks that up is gonna really like it after I die.
Yeah, just like this kind of goes back to where they should just stop releasing things yearly, because they kind of have this system now that doesn't work with the World War II era or like anything that's not modern, where like you have 10 attachments on a gun. Like, you can barely do that in real life now on real guns. So it's like they have this system that just doesn't work with any other era. Just make Modern Warfare 2, take a break for a while, let people like play that game the way they want to play Call of Duty, because that's the only way to play it, with all the attachments and the, I don't know, what else is there?
Yeah.
Like, Warzone doesn't really work very well with the World War II setting either.
Right.
Also, they keep bringing in all these weird events with Godzilla and King Kong.
Yeah, I'm
what
tired of
Yeah, like the packages and bundles. Like, what was one that came? I don't know. They put like anime, like Attack on Titan. That
Yeah,
was the
that was
dumbest
weird.
thing I've ever saw. Like,
Yeah.
you made a character or Titan. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, okay, you need to stop right now. Now
Yeah.
it's just sponsorships and money, and
Yeah.
it's not a game
And
anymore.
I mean, the events are fun.
Yeah.
Like the King Kong and Godzilla one, we actually played a little bit. I mean, Spencer only played it like once.
I mean, it was fun.
It was actually really fun, but it's like you can do events like that are fun, that still make sense, like in the Call of Duty universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, wasn't it for Halloween during COVID or something? They did something really special for it, like...
Yeah, they did like a zombie.
Yeah, they did a
event.
zombies episode where everybody had to fight zombies and you had to stay alive.
Yeah,
and,
that was
like,
awesome.
That was fun.
They did a ghost one that was similar to that too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the ghost one was fun.
Like, they don't need to like get these like big franchises like Godzilla and stuff, and like shoehorn it into the quote unquote lore, which is like, if you're gonna do that, it's not lore anymore. Like, you're just...
It's just because the people who made the movies know that if they made a video game, it would tank. Like
Yeah.
when King Kong a long time ago came out, they made a game for it, and it was god awful.
Oh, I'm gonna disagree with you on that.
Really?
It was actually really good.
You liked it?
Yeah.
I remember playing, or I don't know, maybe I just spent so many years from it. It was probably 15
Me
years
and
ago.
Ben love that game. I actually have it on my shelf over there.
I remember picking up a spear and like throwing it at Godzilla or not Godzilla, King Kong or
Yeah.
something. And I was like, wow, I'm throwing a spear in a video game.
It
This
was
is ridiculous.
a very stealthy game, which I love stealth games.
Stealth game. Yeah, I remember you played Splinter Cell until the disc wiped off. I remember that. Probably burnt a ring into it with your laser disc.
No, that didn't happen. But
No, you played it a lot. Didn't you play that a lot? I remember you talking about it for years. Like,
I mean, yeah, it's one of my favorite games, but I really didn't play the original one very much because it was so freaking hard.
Mhm.
I didn't even beat it until last
Really?
summer.
Wow.
I
'Cause it's so
recently
hard.
tried it.
Yeah,
Couldn't get past the first challenge.
yeah, it's so hard.
Yeah.
Uh,
I like Splinter Cell. Metal Gear Solid with those kind of stealth games, they're fun, but there's a lot of goofiness to it.
Metal Gear, yeah, has a lot of goofiness.
It's way too like
Hide in your boxes.
When I played Metal Gear Solid 2 for the first time when I was like, I don't know, maybe 12, like 11, 13, something like that. Even then I was like, this is goofy. What is happening? Like at the end when like all the monsters come out and then you defeat Metal Gear and you're like, okay, and then you go to the Washington DC or whatever and then you fight Big Boss and you're
Yeah.
like, what is the dialogue with the girlfriend and like the general and stuff on the thing in your neck or whatever, what they're talking about, they're like,
Yeah.
this is a lie, we're a computer program, and it's like, no, this is really me, and it goes back and forth. I'm like, I'm 8, what is happening?
Yeah,
like,
you know,
I don't understand what the story is.
even now, like, you don't even know, like,
And then you see Raiden and his girlfriend get together at the end, and I'm just like, is she a computer program? Like, was she real? I remember I had to poop that whole time when I was playing the last game, but I didn't want to do it, and I was just like, all right, I'm going to the bathroom, and I just threw my controller and just, turned the game off. I was like, this is the dumbest thing in the world.
yeah,
But,
and those games had a lot of dialogue in some of
way
the parts
too much.
too. Yeah.
Way too much. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Splinter Cell is so much better.
Splinter Cell is a way better stealth game than
Yeah. And if
even the new Metal Gear Solids.
I haven't played the newest one, Phantom Pain. I've heard mixed things about it.
It's cool because it's open world, but like when you go to another area, the enemies respawn like almost immediately, and you're like, now I have to like go pick up a gun that I just dropped, and I have to kill all of these guys again. Or what you can do is you can knock them out and like airdrop, or it's literally like tying a balloon to their leg, and they go, and they're like, oh, now this guy's on your side, and like. When you go to your home base or whatever, you see them there and they're like, thank you for rescuing me, or something like, now I'm on your side, hail Big Boss, or some crap, and you're like, okay, and it's just constant over and over again until you beat it. And even in the end, like, you're like, this is some anime crap that I am never gonna, like, Japanese, what's his name, whoever wrote it, like, dude, you need to put the weed down and like focus on your story and the dialogue.
Yeah,
But-
he's notorious for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't played his newest game, Death Stranding, yet, but I've heard it's a very similar, like,
I watched who was it? I think I saw clips of like Jacksepticeye and PewDiePie playing it, and I was like, this looks so dumb.
Yeah.
Like, it's all about delivering packages, and it's like trying to like get the character to walk straight. I'm like,
yeah,
I'll never play this.
Yeah.
This is too much. This is wild.
Yeah.
And even the story with it, you're like, this isn't worth the story of me trying to walk straight. And like the bad guy in the whole thing is like alerted when like the thing on your backpack goes. I don't know, but like it gave me bad vibes, and I was like, no, there's no way I'm playing this. This is just gonna make me mad, like Phantom Pain.
I would never pay for it. If I got it free on PlayStation or something like that, I might try it. But yeah, that's not a game I would ever pay for. Yeah. So anyways, how did we get on that subject?
I don't remember.
Call of Duty.
It was Call of Duty somehow.
Maybe you were talking about Splinter Cell somehow. I don't know.
Oh, we were talking about your favorite games because you said World at War was your favorite game, and I said I thought Splinter Cell was your favorite game or something. But oh well.
I don't know. Anyways, so the last thing that I want to talk about is just like a quick thing. There's a Super Nintendo World. Have you heard about this?
I have not.
So there's one in Japan, and there's one coming to the U.S. It's like a theme park for Nintendo.
Like Disney World?
Oh, that's cool.
It's actually...
Finn, my oldest, would love that.
Yeah,
He's
that's why
obsessed
I
with
wanted to
Mario.
bring it up, because you probably would want to like show your kids or something.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely. Crap, now we have to save like thousands of dollars to go there now.
This one's coming to Universal Studios in Hollywood. I'm sure there will be another one coming to like the Florida one.
Oh, I'm sure.
But yeah, there's like... It's like a whole theme park just of Nintendo theme stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Star Wars one.
I am holding back trying to buy him a Switch for as long as I can, just to see if it's not a phase. But I FaceTimed him today, and he was wearing his Mario suit. He wears his Mario suit with the hat, and the other one wears Spider-Man stuff. So yeah, if he takes a look at this, I'm gonna be out of money for a long time.
That would be really cool to go to, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially
Go.
with kids.
That'd be super fun. AR ride? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, like you wear like the like goggles, whatever they're called.
Yeah, VR goggles.
Yeah. So you go through it like that. It's pretty cool.
I never used the VR stuff up until the other day. My sister Connie has, I think it's like the newest Oculus, and I was like, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I really liked it a lot, but I mean, it's hers, so I can't really.
Yeah.
All she had was like Beat Saber and like
Yeah.
Roblox and stuff, so I was like, nah, I'm not gonna play it.
Yeah, I want to get something like that eventually. I mean, I have a PS5, so I might get the new PSVR or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it depends, because the Star Wars one, like the Vader Immortal game,
yeah.
that one, I think it's only on Oculus. So
Well, then
Really?
I'll have to
I would have
buy
to-
it and put it on Connie's thing. We'll have to play it.
yeah, I don't want to get an Oculus because I hate Facebook, but they have all the like good exclusive games.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping like the new PS5 VR, they'll like take some of those games and put them on there,
Yeah.
because since it'll be.
Did you hear about what Facebook did with like their alternate reality place
Mm-hmm.
or whatever? That's like their
The
answer to
metaverse.
global warming, pretty much. And they're like, yeah, we're not going to help out with global warming, but we're going to create a whole new world in these VR goggles.
Yeah.
And now, somebody told me that like their like 60% of their meetings, their like Facebook or
Like
Meta now.
corporate meetings.
Yes, their corporate meetings, 60% of them are in the metaverse
Yeah.
online, and you have to like put on freaking goggles to go to work and be like,
So
hey everybody, we could have done this over Zoom, but Mark Zuckerberg thinks this is
Yeah.
more worthwhile. Oh, look at Susie, she's a panther. That's really cool. Anyways, let's talk about our budget reports.
Yes.
So
Hey
dumb.
John, can you stop flipping through your skin types, please, and just pay attention? Like what?
Yeah.
That's dumb. That's. I mean, that's. If it was like a school teaching thing, that'd be cool. But
yeah, if
no.
it was used in like a productive way, but it's like they're just using it to like say that they're doing it.
Yeah.
Like it's our product, so we're gonna use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
He should not have done the whole metaverse thing, but you know,
yeah.
he's the billionaire and I'm not.
Yeah. So that was our last topic. So anything else you guys want to say or mention?
I don't think so.
Whoops.
I've been getting into D&D really
yeah.
hard and really aggressively lately. It was our saving grace in a lot of Thailand, just because we ran through like all the good shows on Netflix, all the good shows in Disney Plus, and all that.
All the Marvel shows.
Yeah, and we just ran through them just because there was a lot of times, because COVID was not bad there, but the government, I won't talk about bad about the government, but like they would close down if there was a total of like 100 cases a day for like 7 days in a row. They'd be like, oh no, it's like we're at the end of the world. And I'd look at like Indiana stats and it's like 14,000 cases a day, and I'm like, oh, okay, like I guess that doesn't matter here. But yeah, so we had to stay inside most of the time and watch shows. But I watched something in particular, Dimension 20. It's a bunch of it's run by the Funny or Die people. So it's all like improv comedians, and they're all really fun. I'm watching one called Starstruck right now that the DM Dungeon Master's mom wrote, because she's like a comic book writer or something like that. It's very Cowboy Bebop in the fact that it's like old Western, but still like Space Odyssey kind of stuff. So it's really fun, and like they all play like doofuses. So like all their like choices are super terrible, and like one of them's like a gambling addict, and he'll just be like, yeah, I'm gonna take this 500 credits and I'm gonna go buy kitchen supplies for it, and then he'll run to he'll be like, so friend, where do you think we should buy kitchen supplies? And he's just like, oh, maybe at that he's like, no, maybe at the casino over there. Let's go over to the casino. And he'll go to the casino and like bet like all of his money, and he lost it. It's a really good time, and I think we should really get into it eventually.
Yeah,
I think it'd be really fun.
Every time I watch Stranger Things, every time a new season comes around, I'm like, well, they show them playing at least once each season. Yeah. And it's always mentioned and everything. Like, that looks interesting.
Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, you literally make your own campaign. And, like, my wife, Abby, had the idea to create her own campaign. I won't say what it's about or what it entails or anything, but it's I'm really proud of her for doing it, just because it's going to involve, like, education. Just because she wanted to do something along the lines of that for children, and it should be pretty cool. But like she's still in the midst of writing it. She's still burnt out from Thailand, so it'll probably take a while. So but
it's a lot. There's a lot that goes into that.
Oh yeah, a lot, crazy, a lot. Like the math, the improv that goes into it. Like you can, like like as a DM, what you want with the players that you're playing with, they're your friends, and you want to make the storyline go along good. And if you play with people who don't know what they're doing, sometimes the story can get a little wonky. Like we played this past winter with a couple of our friends, and he just threw together the most basic storyline ever. It was about some adventurers traveling to a new land, and we have to go to all these temples to figure out what poisoned the land, and it ends up being like some elemental like dragon or something like that, and we had to use all 4 elements to destroy it or something like that with like stuff that we found. And some of the stuff that we were doing was pretty dumb. Like, one of our friends is from Australia, so there was a tiny bit of a like language barrier when it came to what he called people, and we were in a bar scene or something like that, or no, we were in a tavern, and he was trying to get the attention of like the bartender, and he said, "Hey, bar wench," and the DM was like, "What did you call me? Like, I'm not a bar wench." And like we had to roll for him to be like, was this positive or negative? And like he kept rolling so bad that he got kicked out of the bar and wasn't allowed to come in. So we had to like spend like an hour trying to convince the bartender to be like, "No, he's just stupid. Or he's a dragon character, so he's just mean. It's okay. It's not.
That's
it's
awesome.
Not mean. It is. Yeah. It was really fun.
Positive or negative?
Yeah, because like that's the whole thing is like you'd be like, give me an intimidation check, and if like it beats, you roll a 20-sided dice, and if it beats it, like if it's a 15 or higher, you win, and you get to do basically what you want it to do. But if it's down, the DM pretty much just punishes the crap out of you, being like, I want to open this door. Okay, you success, you if you roll a natural 20, just like hitting a 20 on the dice, you can kick that door open and smack whatever monster was on the other side of that. You can blow it up. You can do whatever you wanted to. But if it's bad, you can be like, oh, the key broke, so now you can't enter that door, and you have to find another way in. Or like that door was poisoned, and like now you're poisoned. You take 3 points of poison damage, and all that stuff. It's just so interesting that like it's literally a video game in real life, and you can, yeah. I really like it, and I'm hoping I can get it to DM one day. But yeah, it's a lot of math, a lot of improv, and yeah, hopefully I'll get there.
Yeah, I could never do that. That's too much math.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all we are going to talk about today, I guess. Thanks to Jacob and Spencer for joining me.
It was fun.
Yeah, I had a lot of good conversations here. We went a little longer than we normally do, but that's all right.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll be able to talk about Obi-Wan episode 4 next week. So I don't know if you guys will be available for that. We might have Nate and Ben joined for that again too, but I mean, the more the merrier, the more conversation we can have. So
yeah.
yeah, so we'll see you next time.